hold on, not so fast. It's not quite time yet. The jingle bells are over and the countdown to 2024 has begun. In a matter of hours, we'll be singing Happy New Year, with the resounding hope of love and togetherness. You're inside this New Year's Eve edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Audrey Williams. Remember to walk, ride, and drive with care. We go now for a break, but we'll be right back.
One of the things that we ask the public to do is also to comply with the directions, with the guidance, with the detours that are given by the police, because we will find that some roads will be congested and we will have to detour persons to other roads. We know that entertainment venues will be abuzz and they will go up into the nights. We ask that persons conform with the cutoff times. However, we also encourage that persons do not drive carelessly and dangerously when they are leaving these venues. The police will be occupying these main roads that are leading from these areas, and we will be conducting breathalyzer tests where persons we see suspicious movement of vehicles, and persons will be prosecuted for careless and dangerous driving.
Making resolutions and setting goals is the order of the day on Get the Facts this week. Watch now for your edification.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm Theodore Henry. Prior to the end of each year, that infamous word, resolution, comes out, and persons start to think about how they'll do things differently in the coming year. It's an all too familiar process that, for some persons, requires guidance and mentorship to actually see it through to fruition. To provide this kind of support is licensed sports psychologist, author, and life coach, Dr. Olivia Rose. Welcome to the program, Dr. Rose.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's jump right into getting some facts. Making resolutions versus setting goals. Is there a difference between two of those things?
Yes and no, because a resolution is a firm decision that you intend to act on something.
Right.
Goal setting requires you to actually make a firm decision, and it's more than acting on it. It's now planning how you're going to execute that.
So we
have moved more from just making the decision to now acting and be more deliberate. So what is it that I need to do? Who do I need to speak to? What resources I need, and so on. So goal setting is not the most exciting term that people like to hear.
Right.
Neither is it strategic planning, because those things sound too heavy. However, I still recommend and will always recommend that we set goals. And as we are coming to the end of the year, there is, if you had set a goal, that is, there are goals that you can review. So it's the year in review. What is it that you achieved? And there's a sense of accomplishment that you'll feel, because you know that even though you may not have achieved everything, there is still a checklist that you can say, okay, I did this and I was able to do that. But then if we're just operating on autopilot, then you may have accomplished a lot and still feel like a spoiled fruit or not good enough, or there's always something else.
Right.
But goal setting helps significantly to give you a map, a framework as to what is it that you're working with.
So your recommendation then for those who struggle with resolutions, for example, is make a firm decision, but then do some goal setting hand in hand.
Definitely we need that decision to be made, because we want you to prepare purposefully about your life, because it is your life. And we set goals in various ways, and for different things. So in the same way, be more intentional, purposeful about getting your affairs together. So again, there are different ways in which you can do it. We have different techniques. Most people are familiar with the SMART technique, where it's supposed to be.
I'm going to ask you about the
Okay,
SMART technique, but before you go there, I want to ask you something else, though.
Yes.
Because I want to talk on the psychologist part of your expertise. Why is it important to stick to goals? Is there a psychological trigger there?
Well, I don't want to tell you too much about theories of planned behavior and intentional.
In the layman.
No, in layman terms, which is what I'm going to. There are times when we intend to do something and it's not really carried out because of various reasons, which is why sometimes behavior change becomes very challenging. So it's not like you don't want to do it, but you go through different spirals and cycles and on and off, and life in and of itself, that's the simplest term of several theories I've combined, right? To explain what can happen and what actually happens in real life.
Right.
So this is where a support system becomes very crucial. And support can be in the form of a personal assistant, a coach, a psychologist, a friend, a mentor. So after you've made that firm decision, be it resolved, you are resolved that you're going to get your life together.
Right.
Now, what are the resources that you're going to need to achieve these? Who are the people that you need to contact? Because we all are interdependent and our goals don't work in isolation of a whole group of people, especially in sports, right? So it's important for sometimes you don't need to share all of your goals, but what I'm saying is that we need each other. Right? And again, culturally, we have this tendency to think that, if you share your goal or if you talk about it, it's going to be jinx and, all sorts of things going to happen. So, but I still encourage that conversation. And there must be a close friend and a mentor that you can say, this is what I want to achieve. And they can also, usually, if they have more experience on the matter, guide you as to what else you can do.
I like that. I like that point you made about the support system of goals. Now, you were going into SMART, and now I want you to tell me about SMART.
All right, so generally we know of the SMART principle, and the SMART principle for goal setting is that it's supposed to be specific, measurable, attainable. We're at R, realistic, but I have an issue with that part, but we'll get back to it.
Okay.
And it needs to be time-bound because we need to put ourselves in some limited time.
Can't be just open-ended.
Yeah, it can be open-ended. But then for athletes, and I have to include this part because even though it's for athletes, it's applicable to other people, we set smarter goals.
Okay.
What that means, the E is for evaluated in the event of not having enough resources or the season ends before, and a lot of things can change. And then R is for reversible because goal setting can fluctuate and you have to probably, based on resources, you may not have some things. And for athletes, it's because of injury, right? So, but the non-athletic population can experience injury in different forms. So the R is also very applicable to them.
So I can update that a bit, but just to reiterate it for our audience, you're saying that we need to have systematic goals.
Specific. So what is it that you want to achieve?
Specific,
do you want to buy a car this year? Do you want to purchase a house? Do you want to go back to school? What is the goal?
And then we measure it.
And maybe even if you want to buy a car, what kind of car? What year car? So we're getting really specific about it.
Right.
Measuring it now may be challenging, and again, this is why I use other techniques. So we have the measuring part would include the support system. Who is going to ensure or help you to select the right car? Who is going to be there to help you to go back to school, what resources you need, and how would you know? How would you know is if you applied and you got accepted. So there are actions that you need to take. But those are the steps that sometimes make goal setting very unattractive. So the other parts of the culture, I was going to say pop culture, right? Pop culture has different ways in which they go about setting goals. And psychology has combined some of that, but we do it in a very specific and scientific way. Now, the future self letter is very important.
Right.
That's also another technique. And that is where, let's say you write to yourself a future letter that you would want to receive in the next 6 months. So the letter is written in the past tense, and there are specific things that you are now activating to ensure that what you have put in the letter actually comes true.
Dr. Rose, we're going to have to go to a break right now. I love what we're getting out of this SMART system and the tools and the tips that can help us to get our goals off the ground. So we're coming right back to this.
Okay.
Please don't go anywhere. We're at our break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Get the Facts. We're discussing how to set goals that are achievable and strategies to achieve them. The conversation continues with licensed sports psychologist, author, and life coach, Dr. Olivia Rose. Dr. Rose, we're working through SMART, and I wanted to hit that part, achievable and realistic, and you sort of were saying like,
because I'm remembering in a journal that I have packaged for student athletes, sometimes the goal is encouraged not to be realistic because sometimes reality can really hold you back.
Right.
However,
push beyond your boundaries then.
So it's from that place, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to realistically put in the work because things don't just miraculously happen overnight.
Right.
And my favorite saying, one of is, goals work when I do, right? So that's how you really achieve things. But having a plan about how you plan to achieve them is important, and that's real. But in terms of realistic, in the sense that you limiting yourself to say, okay, I don't think I can do this because it's not within my reach. Those are limiting beliefs, and you have to check those. But if you actually put in the work and you're supported by a system that can help you, then more than likely it's achievable. And then remember too, in the event of eventualities, we have reversible.
Right.
Okay?
Smarter.
So it's pretty much cyclical. But at the same time, you need to have something working with.
Right.
So it's not cast in stone, and it requires other people, and it requires patience and time. And evaluation. So I was explaining the future letter, the letter to your future self, and that's also a technique which has a lot of psychology in it because it comes from the principle of imagery, right? And it is now activating the senses where you're going to be feeling because you're writing,
right,
as well as you're going to be generating certain emotions as you're writing. So if the letter would say, for example, dear future me, I'm so proud of you that you have gone back to school and you finished your first semester, and so on. So it is. So if you know that you wrote yourself this letter, and you'd pull it probably on the 6th month, you're gonna put in some work. It's assumed that you're gonna make sure that when you open the letter, you actually achieve what you have set out. So that is a more attractive way to set goals.
Yes.
And it's nicer and more creative, but it's still you being specific about the things you're congratulating yourself for and the achievements you would have made.
But Dr. Rose, I like what we're developing here. Not only are we resolving, we're setting the goals, but we're also setting ways of helping the goals go forward. And I really have to ask about this because you mentioned it. When you spoke about realism of the goals, and you said sometimes you have to push yourself beyond what you think is even possible, how important then do you see as having the right attitude to the success of goals?
Excellent question, Theodore. The attitude is everything, and what you believe is everything. And this is why goal setting is always going to be encouraged. So yes, you may not achieve everything because life happens.
Right.
But not having a plan is not an excuse. And if you are doubting yourself about whether or not you can or you can't, and then you don't have a plan combined with all of that, then the result, as you know, will not be anything exciting or welcoming or pleasing. It's going to really be the opposite of what you had intended, because there was no belief and the attitude was not the best one. So the attitude needs to be one of optimism, right? And being an optimist does not mean that you're going to be positive all the time or that you won't have challenges while trying to achieve your goals.
You'll have to mix in a bit of pragmatism.
Right, yes, that is where the reality part comes in. It just means that you are gradually figuring it out as you go along because you have a plan.
Yeah.
Right? And the plan, as I said, is not cast in stone. It's a plan that suggests a guide, right? So many people are probably not pleased with themselves when they're reviewing their goals because they did not stick to the plan to go to the gym. And we know as we approach the new year,
everybody wants to get to
it's going to be,
that's right.
The gym is going to be full, right?
Up until about like first week of March.
Up until about, right. But then, as I was saying, you can't be knocking yourself so much with a negative attitude to say that this didn't work, I'm not capable. Because what you'd have had in your toolkit is that you were able to start. So you made a resolution, right? You just did not follow through. So this means you are capable. And it simply also means that maybe you need a gym partner, maybe you need a friend or somebody else, or maybe you can't do it by yourself. It simply means you need to click on the other service that says with trainer and that kind of thing, right?
So Dr. Rose, it definitely sounds like goals then are iterative, you know, they add on top of each other. But we're almost out of time, but I definitely want to ask you about this. Discouragement. Things break, resources run out. I nominally seem to have failed. How do I psychologically process discouragement and help myself to keep moving?
All right, thank you for that question. So I'll say, because I work in sport again, discouragement comes in the form of losing. Sometimes it comes in the form of injury.
Yep.
And it's a process. It's not something that people just immediately get over. Sometimes a loss can really impact an individual or a team, and it's the same thing with the rest of the population.
And not just physically, and mentally as well, eh?
Yes, so disappointment, which is why I go back to the R in setting goals.
Yes.
It can be reversible. It doesn't mean delayed, doesn't mean denied. You know, it doesn't mean that you don't have another time or another opportunity to achieve this goal. It just means that it just didn't happen today or this year as you would have loved. And remember, some goals are dependent on other people. And they are even probably more dependent on other people. So it may not be possible even if you have tried your very best. So again, the attitude, the underlying attitude needs to be one of optimism. So even when things don't work out, and in sports and when there are hurdles and challenges, we still pick ourselves up and keep going and also commend ourselves, because I find that part of the goal setting is not usually highlighted. Commend ourselves and each other and celebrate ourselves for the goals we've achieved.
Right.
Even if it is making it to the end of the year, right? Because life is the ultimate gift, and you get to decide when you are resolved and when you have firm decisions and you're intentional about how you want to live your.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Rose, for sharing those steps in the time that we had. SMART, and well, of course, we went bigger than that, smarter. Now, in the last few seconds of this interview, there are several people who are watching. They are all interested in setting goals, but I think more than that, being successful at the goals that they set. Is there anything that you would share directly with our audience regarding setting good goals?
Regarding setting good goals, I'm going to encourage you to purchase The Game Changer by Dr. Olivia Rose, but more importantly, I want you to think about who you want to become and what's one thing that you can do in order to achieve who you desire to be. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. You can always look back at the SMARTER acronym, go through those steps, and, set goals that really, really can move our lives forward. So this has been Get the Facts. Our guest was licensed sports psychologist and life coach, Dr. Olivia Rose. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Take good care.
Let's join hands across Jamaica for righteousness. Let's join hands across Jamaica for righteousness. As we pray, eternal Father, bless this Jamaica land. Let's join hands and ours together and make Jamaica a land of We must save our little children for a brighter tomorrow. Let's give our pledge to God as we work to heal our land and fellow man. Let's join hands across Jamaica for righteousness. Let's join hands across Jamaica for righteousness. As we pray, eternal Father, bless this Jamaica land. Let's join hands and ours together and sing.
No matter where in this world I go, I am a Jamaican. No birth papers I have to show, 'cause I am a Jamaican. No matter where in this world I go, I am a Jamaican. No birth papers I have to show, 'cause I am a Jamaican.
Beautiful smile, God-fearing people, all across the world, yet you're so simple. And it's not your fault that you're so loving and kind. Sweet Jamaica.
No matter where in this world I go, I am a Jamaican. No birth papers I have to show, I am a Jamaican.
Deciding on a resolution to lose weight for the new year? Well, there's no better time to start than now. In this next feature, we show you how.
You want this lean, muscular physique and well-toned body, framed for the beach, carnival parade, or just your regular dressed down or formal attire. You want to cut the fat and develop that noticeable defined muscle and shape, but not significant muscle size. There's nothing wrong with any of that, as long as you remember the most important thing is not a summer or designer body, but rather a healthy body. By doing efficient exercises and controlling your weight, you can expect to safely lose between 1 and 2 pounds a week on your journey to a more fit body. But doctors recommend that you should not lose more than 1 to 2 pounds per week. For many people, even this rate may be too aggressive in terms of dietary and exercise modifications.
That body is not just going to come overnight. It's not going to come within 2 weeks or a month, depending. It all depends on the type of activity you do, how you do it.
Within 2 months, if you stick to your exercise program and if it's done properly, you will see and feel results. Before starting any structured exercise program, however, persons should first consult with their doctor.
The reason why we need a medical approval from our doctor is that a lot of us have pre-existing health conditions, and some of us are not as fit as we think. For example, in Jamaica, 4 in 10 is hypertensive and they don't know it. And it's the same with diabetes, 4 in 10 and don't know it. And our stats tell us 7 out of 10 Jamaicans die from a chronic disease. We define physical activity by intensity level and the frequency in which we do it. Frequency meaning how often we do it per week. For example, 2 times per week or 5 days per week. The intensity is the energy in which we use to perform the activity, meaning how hard you work out. There's 3 levels of intensity: low, moderate, and vigorous.
If you want to lose weight, the Ministry of Health recommends 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise 5 days per week. To lose and maintain weight, 90 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise 5 days per week is recommended. There are 2 main categories of exercise, namely aerobic and anaerobic exercise.
What this is saying that the body needs oxygen to break down fat that is stored in the body. All the calories stored in the body as fat need oxygen to break it down, that is in the tissue. So if you want to lose weight, you must do the aerobic activity to burn that fat that we use as energy when we're doing the activity. So the type of activities are like swimming, running, dancing. It is normally done for a long period of time.
When you decide to lose weight, you want results. Results keep you motivated and on track. Cardiovascular exercises are part of the aerobic category, and they help you trim down by burning extra calories. While this helps shed excess fat and strengthens your cardiorespiratory system, it won't build the tone in your muscles that you're after.
Now, when we talk about anaerobic activity, it is activity that does not need oxygen. It's quick, it's fast, it's snap. So most of the time, that activity will help to tone the muscles that we're looking for. But you cannot tone unless, we lose that fat. So you need to do the aerobic activity, then you do the anaerobic activity, which is like the weightlifting, the squats, the push-ups, the jumping, so that now you lose with aerobic and then you tone with anaerobic.
Calories are the name of the game when you're trying to lose weight. Eat fewer calories than you burn and the scale will respond.
Generally, we work with a 2,000 to 2,500 caloric intake per day for the general population. But for each person, their caloric requirements is different because we calculate it based on your specific age, your height, weight, gender, and how physically active you are. Females generally eat less because they carry less muscle mass than men, and so they weigh less. The range is different. For someone who is very slim and short, then maybe 1,800 would be a safe amount to save for that person. But for men, 2,100 would be the lower end of the spectrum.
You may create a caloric deficit, which will cause you to lose weight, but it's best to work with a balanced diet and exercise.
A caloric deficit is when you consume less calories than what you're using for the day. So usually persons try to cut their caloric intake significantly to lose a lot of weight at once, but consuming less than, say, 1,200 calories per day can cause you to have nutritional deficiencies. You can lose muscle and bone, and your body will also go into starvation mode so that you'll stop losing weight altogether.
That's a no-no. The best way to slim down and tone up is to combine balanced diet and exercise.
Just like that, we're signing out for today. But not to worry, you can re-watch this offering or any other content like it by visiting our website, jis.gov.jm. Join us on this same station tomorrow as we bring you another informative, educational, and entertaining package of Jamaica Magazine. From all of us here at the JIS, we wish you and yours a Happy New Year when it comes. Thank you for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.